These 25 trucks have either been petrol bombed, burnt, shot at or stoned across the country since Thursday. Now the Road Freight Association, it's the representative body, saying police must gather intelligence and identify those inciting the violence for the purposes of prosecution. The association also calling on government to focus on security resources at its disposal to counter, prevent and prosecute those responsible. Another perspective now as we talk to Gavin Kelly from the Road Freight Association. Mr. Kelly, good afternoon to you. What do you believe is behind the attacks? Is it more than just contestation between local and foreign drivers?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. I think that is part of the whole reasoning behind this, but I think there's a little bit more. You would have seen that over the last couple of weeks, generally, we've seen a lot more groupings coming behind this ATTF that originally was behind these attacks 2-3 years ago. And there are also a couple of political parties. So the first question one has to ask is there something else behind this? And you will have noted in our letter to the President that we've listed the things you've mentioned, and we've spoken about destabilization. The other thing that we mentioned, Jeremy, a crucial part was that this was identified 2.5, 3 years ago. We sat around the table, we identified what the reasoning was for this, what the original causes of this were. We came up with solutions, and they have not been implemented.
Given, Mr. Kelly, the parlous state of our railways, the economy of this country, and particularly in the hinterland, in Gauteng, depends on efficient road transportation. As a result of these attacks, what impact is this having on your ability to do your job? And at this point, have you quantified the cost?
Well, immediately, drivers are scared to drive. Operators are scared of putting their employees out there to do the driving. There's already a bit of a curtailment in driving at night because you see most of these attacks happen at night. So once they spread into the daytime, if there's no real resistance from the South African police services, then we're going to have a problem. So already logistics has been threatened. The number of trucks out there is beginning to reduce as guys want to look after their employees and, of course, their assets in the goods. Some of the trucks are actually looted before they're burnt, or not even burnt, just looted. So the whole road freight infrastructure, the whole logistics chain is now under tremendous strain. And eventually, if this continues, there's going to be a collapse starting to happen, especially around the hotspots. Rail isn't there. I mean, really, look, the rail network has been plundered already.
So let me ask you this question. At what point, if you haven't done so already, do you start deploying your own security?
Jeremy, I've been asked that question, I think, 1,000 times in the last 2 weeks. And the answer is this. We've got to be very careful of not making the first move to escalate violence. It sounds simple. Guys have said, well, you know, we live in a walled-off estate. We've got security that patrols. Remember that security, most of the times, then calls on SAPs if they find an intruder or a burglar or they apprehend somebody. Now we want to start putting private security guards around trucks. And the first question I'll always have is what happens when the first incident starts to occur? How do you know that this is now going to elevate into a burning, for example, or heaven forbid, somebody being murdered? And when the first shots gets fired, from then on, it goes absolutely haywire. So this is the role of the South African police services, ensuring safety and security of all the citizens, all the private individuals, all the companies, all the infrastructure in this country. This is a national key point. The N3 and the harbours where all of this is happening on national key points. I would be very, very loath to start pushing for having private individuals riding so-called shotgun on trucks. This is not a good way to go.
Having said that, do you believe then that police are taking your plight seriously enough?
Well, we seem to see that it's only reactive. And you again have noted in my letter to the President, I had bemoaned the whole status of intelligence gathering and that we don't seem to be able to be proactive. We can't get to the scene or apprehend those who are initiating the violence or deal with this before it actually becomes to that. So we've had 1 or 2 incidences where the police have attended to a scene. We've got many reports coming through on our various WhatsApp groups that the police just stand and watch. 300 meters away was given as the distance from that horrible incident last night. So no, I do not think they're doing what they need to do.
Thank you very much indeed. Gavin Kelly is the Chief Executive Officer of the Road Freight Association.